Hi, everybody. I know most of you will see this on replay, so please let me know. Put hashtag replay so I can thank you. I am trying to find myself here on. I am doing this. This is last night's live. We lost our electricity, and I couldn't go live for nothing. So there we go. Okay, so what we are making, I'm in the process of making housewarming gifts for somebody for a kitchen. Okay, so we got that adjusted. So what I'm making is a handle for a cast iron or a frying pan. It's a pot holder, and it goes right over your handle. So this is just so you know when you're using cast iron or a handled pan that doesn't have any kind of a rubber or a plastic grip on it, you have to use a pot holder. So that's what this is for. You slide it over and you can handle these. So whether you got a griddle like this or you have stainless steel or whatever, this is going to work. So that's what we're making. This is going into some of the stuff that I am making. Sorry about that. I hit the... So what I did was, this is 3.5 by 3.5. I apologize. So we need to round this off. So you can use anything to round this off. I'm using one of these balloon sizing tools that I've been telling you about. But you can use cardboard, you can use the cutting mat, you can use, even a piece of paper, cardstock. But what I want to show you is when you buy things that have these plastic containers, you can also cut your small patterns out of one of these. So when you're, throwing stuff away, think about, can I use that for something else? Because, I do a lot of recycling, reusing items. But, this is a plastic template that you can buy for patterns. But why not use something you're throwing away? And then you can keep reusing this. If you use paper, eventually using straight pins to pin it to your fabric and whatever, it's going to rip. You're going to have to coat. Hi, Dorothy. You're going to have to coat it with something. So when you're making your small patterns like this is, you can use plastic food containers, and that will, help you save money without having to buy the cutting mats, or this is template. Just use something you already have. So, Dorothy, what we're making is a pot holder that slides over your handles on your pans. So, I only, frying pans, griddles, whatever, I only use cast iron. I don't use anything else. So, these get extremely hot when you use them. So it's 3.5 by 3.5, and we're going to round this off. Now you can use anything to, as your circle, but for $1.25 you get 9 of these at Dollar Tree, and they're for blowing up your balloons if you want them all the same size. So the 3-inch, they're all imprinted, but it's hard to see. So I write the size on there. So this is the 3-inch circle, but this is the 3-inch circle. This is another 1.5 inches. So you get 9 of these plastic circles in a bag. But you also get another 1.5 inches. So you actually get 19 circles because you have 3-inch and you have 4.5 inches outside. So I'm just using this just to round off this this top. And I'm taking whatever you're using for your circle, line it right up to the top of your whatever you made your pattern out of. Good morning. So what I'm doing is I'm just using a Sharpie and I'm just rounding off, just going like that so that I can cut this. Now I've already cut one. Now when I'm using whatever I'm using as my, when I make my pattern, I write on here, which you can't really tell because there's writing on the back also. But this is cast iron pot holder handle is what I wrote on here. Now I've also wrote the sizes 3 1/4, 3 1/4. But on the back, when I do something like this, before I actually make patterns that to sell, I write on here everything I need. So what we need to do this is, let me set these over here. You need whatever your outer fabric is going to be. I'm using this because this is what I'm using to make all of her items out of. Pot holders, a casserole carrier, which we're going to make together, a hot pad. I'm making all kinds of things for her kitchen, but this is the fabric that I'm using. And when Joann's went out of business, they had bolts of this for $12, and I bought, I don't know how many bolts. So you need 2 of your outer fabric, and then you need 2 lining fabric, and this is the lining fabric that I'm using on all her stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to line these up on the flat edge, and we're going to put a pin in it. Look and see where I put my pins. We're just going to put a pin that's just going to hold these together while we sew. So while you're making anything that's going to have any heat in a kitchen, you want to make sure that you're using everything that's cotton. If you don't, if your fabric has a little bit of acrylic in it, it's going to melt. So, because this is our liner, and it's going to come in direct touch with your handle, you definitely want to make sure that this is cotton. So we have 2 inner fabric, 2 outer fabric. You need 2 pieces of cotton, and make sure that it is cotton, because if you used a regular quilt batting, it is spun polyester. It'll melt. Polyester is an acrylic. So you want to make sure you use cotton. So I have 2 cotton, and this is Insulbrite. So it is a cotton batting that this silver, and if you get the white, it still has its aluminum in it. So those of you who are making bowl cozies, make sure that you let the person that you're giving this to, or if you're selling them, put a tag on them. This cannot, a bowl cozy with Insulbrite in it cannot go in the microwave, because the, metal and microwave sparks. So say hi when you're on. So I quit making my bowl cozies with Insulbrite. I use multiple layers of the cotton batting, because everybody puts their bowl in the bowl cozy and puts it in the microwave, and then it sparks. And then, what sparks is like, flash fire. You burn your fabric. So I just sent somebody a new set of bowl cozies that's only made. So I use 4 layers of this in a bowl cozy now, instead of Insulbrite, because of it sparking. So I just want to warn everybody, you cannot put this in the microwave. but it is heat proof because of the aluminum in it. So you need 2 layers of your Insul-Bright or 4 layers of your cotton batting, whichever you're using. I'm using both because I have both. 2 of your outer fabric, 2 of your inner fabric. So what we're going to do is we're going to sew a straight stitch right along these flat edges. Get this lined up. And I'm just using a 1/4 inch foot and a 1/4 inch seam. So you can make your own pattern. 3 1/4, 3 1/4. Okay, let's get her pulled over here and turned on. Okay, so we're just doing a straight stitch. And this is so simple. If you are a brand new sewer, this is a really good project for you to make. Lining my fabric up right at the edge of the presser foot. There, you can see better. Back stitch. Start and finish. So when you put one piece of fabric up to the other without cutting your thread, this is called chain stitching. Somebody asked me. So that you're just putting all your fabric underneath of the needle at the same time. And back stitch if you're chain stitching. And why chain stitching? Chain stitching, if you're making a lot of the same, it helps things go quicker. So let's snip our threads. And I'm going to get my iron turned on here because we are ironing. Now, if you do not own an iron, use a hair flat iron. This is a perfect project to do that. And I've shown that before. Hi, Debbie. Good morning. How are you? We are making a pot holder for a skillet handle. So we're going to open this up, and I showed in the beginning how to make the pattern. If I can get it open, there we go. And this is my fabric I'm using. Now I'm just finger pressing this for the moment on both of these because we're going to iron these. So just open them up and finger press. This is another reason why I never get my nails done. I've been asked so long, why don't you get your nails done? Because I use my nails for everything under the sun. So we're going to set this aside, and we're going to do the same with our batting. So this Insul-Bright, it doesn't matter what side you use. I always say this is the front side, so that's why I do it this way. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to sew right along the flat edge on both of our battings. I am making a handle, a pot holder for the cast iron handles, or even some skillets don't have protective covering over your handles. So this will slide right over so that you can use it without getting a pot holder and wrapping it around. This is perfect for that. So I'm doing the same. Just running. So this was last night's video. Oh, thank you. But we are getting April showers in June. So we have a whole week of rain coming. But last night we had thunderstorms, which knocked out our electric. And I was like, great. I could have gone live except for I'd had no lights. So I thought, well, it's better to cancel than to y'all not be able to see what I'm doing. Hi, Boom. Good morning. We're making a hot pad or a hot holder for a cast iron skillet, or for any skillet that doesn't have the coating on it. So I'm just finger pressing all of this open. Now, because we're going to have, this is thick, we're going to have layers. So when I put this together, I want the seam on one of these battings to go one way, and the seam on the other batting to go the other way. And that way we're not going to have a ton of bulk, or we'll have the same bulk when we go over these seams. So you want one going one way and one going the other. And we're going to match up. See where the thread is on both? That's how we're going to match these up. And while I've already got those together, I'm going to give them a pin. So if you have more, oops, I forgot to turn that off. If you have more than a 1/4 inch here, I would trim that down. So we're going to flip this over and do the same. So we have this one going that way and this one going that way, and we're just going to match up those seams. You just want them to nestle right down together there. And if you put a pin with the head going out, you'll be able to remove it when we get our fabric on here. Now we just want to match all this up, making sure. Now, like here, one's a little longer than the other. That's fine, because we're going to trim this all down. Just making sure it's all matched up. Okay, so we're going to do the same with our fabric. We're going to press our fabric. So let's push this out of the way and bring our little mat up here. Now, if you don't have a small mat like this and all you have is a big ironing board, you can use a rolled up towel. I've been sewing for so long, and I have gotten my sewing supplies over all the years that I have been sewing. So if you are a brand new sewer, you do not have to go out and buy a ton of sewing supplies at one time. You just build up to it. So I'm going to press these, and I'm going to press these the same way. One's going one way, one's going the other. And if you don't have an iron, look at thrift stores for one. Because this is a Shark. This is a very, very expensive iron. And I got it for $20 at a thrift store. So, those of you who commented one time on my expensive iron, I only paid $20 for that. So I'm going to do the same here. I'm only pressing the seam right here. Just one hit, so they both will stay the way I want them. So we're going to, your face fabric, right side up. Your lining fabric, well, this is the same on both, so it doesn't matter. But I'm putting my seam up. Just lining it up, making sure that my center seam is lined up on both sides. And I'm going to put my batting right on top of that sandwich. And I'm going to pin this. Now you need to leave an opening for turning. So how I do that is I take a pin and put it the opposite direction than I'm putting my other pins. Because it doesn't matter how long I've been sewing, I still forget to leave an opening. Now, if you notice, my batting is just a tiny bit shorter than my fabric. And that's just to keep a lot of the bulk out of all the seams. So we're just going to start right where I have this pin going, and we're going to sew completely around, and we're going to turn it. This is a really fast, easy project. So if you wanted, you could also put a little hang tag in this. I'm not. I personally don't hang my pot holders. I throw them in a drawer. But if you do, you can put a little hang tag. And I would put the hang tag in between my layers, and I would put it on this center seam somewhere. Because this is going to be folded in half when we're done. So this will fit right over the handle. So I figured while I was making all this stuff as a housewarming thank you gift for somebody, maybe some of you would like to make stuff like this. Now this is my birthday month, so somebody on here is going to receive all of this as a gift, Happy Mail. So we're just following the outside fabric. I'm running my fabric right along the edge of my presser foot. And we're back where we started. Oh, thank you. Oh, today's your birthday? Well, mine's on the 11th, so happy birthday. So what we're going to do is we're going to, all curves, clip them. And if you have any excess fabric, I would clip that too. So are you doing anything special for your birthday? And we're going to turn this. Get it open there. Yours is on the 27th. Well, a lot of good people was born in June, huh? So I'm going to clip that down a little bit. Just cut some of this excess off. Yeah, mine is this week. I will be 65. Hard to believe. Oh, that would be so fun, Dorothy. Thank you, Boom. I love the Amish country. So you going to Ohio or Lancaster? My husband and I actually took our honeymoon out in Ohio. We stayed at a bed and breakfast that was on this horse ranch. It was so nice. So we're just turning it, and I'm making sure that I get my rounded corners pulled out. So what we're going to do is we're going to open this up and we're going to push this right inside. Whoops. Let's get our opening closed. So I am going to open this up and cut some of that batting out of that seam. So I'm just going to pull it out just a little bit and snip this off. Just get it out of that seam. So we're going to close this off. Oh, your birthday's next month, so is my mom's. Yeah, have fun. Think of all of us, because all of us want to go with you. My mom's going to be 90 next month, so we're just going to make a short seam right there in that opening. Now we're going to grab the center seam and pull it out and then push one side into the other. Now this takes a little bit of fiddling to get, because you have so many layers. So what I'm doing is I'm pulling the outer section down and my fingers are going to the edge and I'm trying to get these corners poked out. So you can use a chopstick. Chopsticks are great for this because you have a pointed edge, and if you take them apart, you have a flat edge. So it's really nice to turn your items. So the person I'm making this for likes that cottagecore grandma look, and her mother says that she would love this fabric. So what I'm doing is I'm actually pulling this, just going around and pulling this. And that's going to make sure that all of this lays the way I want it. And I'm making sure that the edges are pushed out to the edge. So all of this, so I'm putting my fingers all the way down inside and pulling out. And that's going to make sure everything settles in there. Because if it's not, if your inside is not pushed out, you will be able to feel it on the outside. So we're going to press this one more time. Get all of that out of the way. And you can take your fingers and roll it like this to make sure that you got that seam on the top. And this is why I say your seams, you want one going one way and one going the other, because here is where you're going to have a ton of bulk. So let's give it a press. I'm mostly pressing the top, but I'm also going to do the body of it too. And we're going to put this back under our needle. Now I'm just going to top stitch all the way around the top of this, as close as I can get to that edge. Now you can't put your project under your needle like this, because you're going to catch this. You have to put your presser foot inside. Let me see if I can get you up here so you can see. And because there's so many layers, I have to lift that. So you want your presser foot inside of your pot holder here. And we want to go right at the edge. So I am moving my needle. So I'm moving it over so I can just top stitch this. If your machine doesn't move the needle on a setting, then just wiggle your fabric until you got it at the edge. Now I'm going to go really slow around this because you have to keep stopping and wiggle this around because you got such a small area. So we're just going to top stitch this. Now when you come to those side seams, you want to go slow because you got so much material in that side seam that you have a hump right there. So just go slow and you'll be able to go right over that hump without any hesitation on your machine. So see, this is a bit of fiddling here because you don't have much room. But you definitely want to top stitch this. Now if you, I think I just broke my needle. Nope. It sounded like I broke my needle. Now, I have a walking foot. A walking foot is good for something like this, but a walking foot, the presser foot on it is so big, it won't work on something like this. So you just got to just go careful and go around it. And I am making sure that that seam is still on the top as I go around it. So this is the hardest part of the whole project, is this. So you can do this by hand if you wanted. But the reason why you want this top stitched is because when you're taking it on and off, your handle, taken on and off can pull the inside out. And then you're constantly putting it back inside. You don't want to do that. So this is the hardest part of the whole project. That and deciding what fabric you want to use. Sometimes that's a hard thing on a project too. And I broke it. So we're just going to stop. I'm not going to make you watch me change a needle. But here you go. Here is your pot holder for any of your pans that don't have that coating on it. So this is a pretty long handle. That's why I made the pattern 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. Now, we have a lot of room in there because some of these handles are wider. But see, it's a perfect grip. Hi, Donna. So if you sell and you have a bunch of scrap fabric, this is perfect. Scrap batting, perfect. But there you go. You have a little pot holder for your pan handles. So I am giving away this fabric, this lining, and this with the directions on how to make this, because this is my birthday month. So let me scroll back up here and let me pick somebody. I'm just going to put my finger right on somebody and boom. Boom Belair, you are the winner of the kit. So this is what you're getting. The lining, this outside fabric, and the 4 pieces of batting along with the pattern. So just message me your address and I will put this in tomorrow's mail. And then you can make one. Now, if you do not sew, let me know and I will send you a finished one. Okay? Thank you all for hopping on and watching. So, we have a pot holder for our pan handles. Oh, you're welcome. So just let me know if you want the kit or you want a made one. So if you want a made one, I will make you one. Or if you don't like this fabric, let me know what kind of fabric you want. But this is really, I think this is adorable fabric. That's why when Joann's was going out of business, I bought what they had. So this is the fabric. Thank you all for hopping on and watching. If you see this on replay, which most of you will, please put hashtag replay so I can thank you. And I appreciate all of you. So boom, just send me a message. God bless. Thank you. And happy birthday to anybody having a birthday in June like me.